Hey, what's up, guys? Inhaling here. Well, I was just demonstrating the bamboo exhales breathing technique. It's a Zen breathing technique, and today's video I'm doing because I've been asked frequently how to deal with anxiety and stress, and also help reduce some of that inflammation in the body. And bamboo exhales, a Zen breathing technique, for me, it's the best technique to use. So, what's happening? What is bamboo exhales? Well, really what's happening is you're using intermittent exhales for a prolonged period of time. So I'll demonstrate an inhale through the nasal passage. The exhales are so you can hear it really extends the duration of the exhale. It also allows you to breathe less times per minute. As you know, I'm a yogi, and yogis measure their life not in the number of years we live, but the number of breaths we take. Meaning the less breaths that we take, the longer that we live. And a lot of times we point to the animal kingdom as proof of that, saying that a rabbit in the wilderness breathes 100 times a minute and lives about 1 year. And then you have cats and dogs that are somewhere in between us, who as humans, we breathe about 15 times a minute. And we're living, 75, 80 years. And then bring that all the way down to the tortoise that is breathing 1 time a minute and living 150, sometimes 200 years. So, it's a kind of fun analogy, but there may be some truth to that. And again, yogis follow that less times per minute. So a lot of these breathing techniques, what we're trying to do is slow our breathing rate down. Also, concentrate on the exhale. When you concentrate on the exhale, you're basically concentrating on getting rid of the CO2. And your respiratory function is responsible for regulating the amount of oxygen, CO2, and acidosis in the blood. And that acidosis shows up as inflammation, and disease, or if you're an athlete, lactic acid, and inhibits performance. Your arms get heavy. Your recovery time is much longer to recover in between shifts or in between exercises. And it all goes with balancing the pH levels of the blood. So again, it regulates the amount of oxygen, CO2, and acidosis in the blood. We're naturally all over breathers, so we're inhaling enough. But, being able to control the exhale. So the other thing that's happening with the physical body in this is when you're making that sound, you're basically bringing subtle tension into the abdominal region. For Zen people, it's your tendon. For yoga, it's your hara or your bandhas, but it's your midline. And when you bring that subtle tension in the midline, it brings you mental and physical stability. So that's where it's helping you deal with anxiety and stress. It's taking you out of the mind, that shattering mind, those 60,000 thoughts, the 23,000 breaths that we take, taking you out of that into the physical body. So it's helping to kind of activate, like Kundalini yogis know, that switch. That switch is basically the midline switch, the chakras, and it's the root. So when you bring that subtle energy into your tendon, your hara, your midline, basically your gut, boom, it helps to give you that mental and physical stability. And we do this naturally. We step outside in the cold to bear the burden of the freezing cold. We naturally tighten up a little bit. So this breathing technique is done by putting your teeth together, your lips together, and you're basically like a sound effect artist, creating that type of sound. You're not in a hurry to let your breath go. And they call it bamboo exhales because the Japanese calligraphy artists, when they're actually drawing the picture of the bamboo, they're doing it in one exhale. So I'll demonstrate. When they're drawing it, they're taking a nice big inhale through the nasal passage. And then their brush stroke is basically one exhale, doing the whole stroke, doing that whole picture painting of the bamboo that has the different fissures in there. So it's a good analogy, but it's also why we do those intermittent exhales. The exhales, intermittent, we're actually pausing the breath. So again, it's one exhale, but little pauses in there. And yogis know when you pause the breath, you still the fluctuations of the mind. So not only are we bringing subtle tension into the midline, the tendon, the hara, and controlling the body and the mind that way, but the pause of the breath, it's still in those 60,000 thoughts. It's still in the mind, helping you block out the stress that might be happening, the chaos around you. So again, bamboo exhales, it's a great breathing technique. Can really get rid of a lot of that CO2, balance the pH levels of the blood, but also really control that anxiety, that stress, bring yourself into the physical body, get out of the mind. And again, I'll demonstrate it one more time for you guys. It's not a, you can do this any time of the day. You can do this anywhere. You don't have to be sitting down at all. I do it when I'm moving around a lot of times. You're basically just taking a big inhale in, putting the lips and teeth together, maybe bringing your tongue there, and just one more time. You at home, take a nice big inhale in. You can see at the end, you can choose to really force out that air, and then in between, you're taking a nice, big, deep belly breath, filling up now with fresh oxygen. It's going to help you balance the pH levels of the blood, bring you stability, invigorate the body, and again, you're calming the body at the same time by releasing all that CO2, by bringing yourself into the physical body. So this has been Bamboo Exhales, the Zen breathing technique. Use it anytime. Okay, guys, breathe well, stay flexible, keep healing.